Thursday had 5 games on. We had some wild ones. We had some injury returns. We had Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and the vibes are not vibing. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to fanduel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We're free. We're available on all platforms, and we are part of the number one sports podcast network, the Locked On Podcast Network, of course, your team every day, and your number one sports podcast network every day. Thanks for getting us there up to number one. We are here to recap the action from a busier than usual Thursday night with 5 games on, an early finish to Thursday's games as well. Let's get in and have a look at a little bit of news. We did get the update on Giannis Antetokounmpo and his calf strain. They're saying a calf strain, obviously it's a calf strain. 2 to 4 weeks is the estimation there. The good thing is we've got an idea of what happens with Giannis out. The problem with that sample size is Kevin Porter was also out. So Porter is back. We did not see Bobby Portis be the big tick-up guy. He gets a boost, and you can add him. But I think they're going to start Kuzma. I think they're going to have Porter, Rollins, Green, Kuzma, Turner. So I know everyone is running to add Portis, but again, just look at those last few games, and Bobby was not the priority. He got downgraded through those absences down to like 21 minutes. Last game, minutes up. Absolutely. I don't feel confident about Bobby or Kuzma. I think you can try them both. But to me, they're just back-end guys, not like guaranteed smash-type situations. We also got some injury returns. Paolo Banchero is questionable for tomorrow. I don't know that he plays, but it's good news for his availability in the NBA Cup next week. Obviously, with him coming back, Tristan da Silva's value, even though it wasn't even there, is done. And then what we have to watch is what it does to Bane, what it does to Suggs, what it does to Carter, and more importantly, what it does to Mr. Black, who's been really good, apart from the last game. I think it'll probably render Black useless, but don't drop him yet. The other one is the Jedi, OG Anunoby. Scarves are off, uniforms ready, he's ready to return, he's questionable. I think he'll be back pretty soon. He's also ready for the NBA Cup. What does this do for Josh Hart? Does Juice McBride start, or does Hart continue to start? What does it do for Hart's minutes? What does it do for McBride? Now, McBride's value as a streamer is going to drop in this scenario, and I think you could probably drop him when OG is back. The big question to me is what happens with Hart, and how do they utilize him now? Does he go back to a fringy guy, which I think he can stay above that, or do they just keep playing him 37 minutes a night, back to the old lineup from last season? That's something we don't know, and we have to check out. Let's do waiver wire trends. Who's been added and dropped since I did the last waiver wire show, which was about 27 hours ago. The most added 5 players over that time frame. Number 1 is Marvin Bagley III. We'll talk about him in the Wizards game later on. The second one is Kyle Filipowski, who got the start for the Jazz today. His last 2 games had been a little fluky in terms of minutes going up. One was like a 40-point margin at halftime, and the other one, Nurkic, was in foul trouble, like 3 fouls in the first 5 minutes or something. But we'll talk about it getting the start today because Nurkic was out. Andre Drummond, one of the most added players. All right, we'll talk about that one as well because Embiid actually played today. Bobby Portis, people reacting to the Giannis news. And the man that I had on my thumbnail of the streaming show for yesterday, which people criticised the image that I used, but it was Geordie Walsh. He's the 5th most added player. And that worked out all right. Who are the most dropped players over the last 27 hours or whatever it is? Bilal Coulibaly is out multiple weeks. See you later. Juice McBride, like the inevitable return here of OG Anunoby, and McBride just being a back-end guy anyway, no problem. Bubble Champagne in San Antonio, he's been okay, but absolutely do not need to roster him. You can use him, you can stream him through, but you don't have to. I didn't realize Chris Murray was rostered in as many spots to be one of the most dropped players, but he was, so see you later. And then Dan Gafford, locker room legend. Derek Lively looks like he might be out for the season, honestly, but I don't really care because they are now fully going in with Anthony Davis at center. And there are people who are still like, hey, but what about if PJ Washington's out? Doesn't that mean Gafford is more useful? Not really. Honestly, not really. Because all we're seeing really is Gafford playing 15, 16 minutes behind AD and not being very good and leaving every game early. So he's out again. I don't have a problem with dropping Dan Gafford, honestly. I think it makes quite a bit of sense if you need to free up that roster spot. 5 games. First one. Boston and Washington. Jaylen Brown was off due to illness, so he was out of the starting lineup. That meant that old mate Slemon Semi Hauser moved in, and they won by 45 points. 146 Boston, 101 Washington. Let's start with Jordan Walsh, though, because he played 30 minutes. He had a career-high 22 points, with 7 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and a block. I'll couch all of this, all of the Boston stuff. Jaylen Brown had a 40% usage. All right, so that was gone out of this game. They're playing one of, if not the worst team in the NBA. And then Jordan Walsh, have I ever seen a better illustration of it? He did the thing. I guess maybe it's not the entire thing because he was already starting, but he saw his minutes rise, he saw his usage rise, and he jumped in with 100% shooting. 8 of 8 from the field, 5 of 6 from the line. 7 of 7 on twos, right? So many things there aren't repeatable. He won't shoot 100%. Jaylen Brown won't be out, so his usage won't spike. 2 steals and a block with 7 rebounds. He'll do that a couple of times this season. We've seen Walsh starting for a few weeks now. This is a nice little run. Obviously really bumped by these games here, or this game here. To me, he's a good stream guy on days like this. Absolutely not someone that I would rush to grab. There is a lot here that just isn't repeatable. Nemesh Kader had some early foul trouble, but overall 17-4 with 4 blocks. Who cares? You would like him to play more than 21 minutes, and we have to monitor that. But the production's good. While maximum Derek White, without Jaylen Brown taking every shot in the world, he took the shots. 30-7 with 9 assists, and Peyton Pritchard also had 26-8 on 21 shots. You would think, without Jaylen Brown, there'd be an opportunity for maybe Anthony Simons to start. That did not happen. He played 25 minutes. He did have one of his better games, 16, 2 and 3, and he added 2 steals, which is like about 3 or 4 seasons worth of work for Simons. I will continue to tell you, I do not believe that Anthony Simons is a must-roster player.
Get that garbage out of here!
And honestly, I think one of the excuses, or not excuses, one of the reasons that can be made for holding on to Simons is, what about when Jaylen's out? What about when Derek White is out? Well, we saw it, and it's mid, man. He played 25 minutes. I just don't buy it. Joshie Minot played some more minutes. He had 11-4 with 2 threes. That's fine. I need to see more of this before we go back to him for 12s. And Sammy Hauser had 6 points. He had 2 threes. That's what he does. That is just what he does. We can go across now to the Wizards side. It is a horrible performance. It's an embarrassing game, honestly. No Alex Sarr for them again in this one. They did get Chris Middleton back, which meant that Justin Champagnie moved to the bench. As for Middleton, he's playing well. 25 minutes, 16, 3 and 4. He's absolutely not a must-roster player. He's a streaming sort of a guy for days like this. And CJ McCollum had 22, 2 and 3, which is a good scoring night. And after some worries about Keyshawn George from people, this is a much better performance. Now, he'd been really shooting horribly. He reversed it by shooting 71%, which of course is too high. But 15, 3 and 1 with 2 steals at least gets that pressure off a little bit. Marvin Bagley's last 2 games without Alex Sarr had been ridiculous. A 20-10 game with 100% shooting from the line, and then a 5-block performance. You go, wow, what are we doing? This is not Marvin Bagley. And then he goes out and says, I'll show you who Marvin Bagley is. 5-6 with no threes, no assists, no steals, no blocks, and 25% from both the field and the line. One of the worst performances you will see. Even saying that, if Sarr remains out, I will still roll with Bagley. This is a bad game, but the opportunity is still there. Tristan Vukcevic, I would like for him to play a little bit more, 11 minutes only, but he had 10 and 4 on a block, which is obviously still really good for those minutes. And I just want that larger role to feel more comfortable. They started. Old mate, I actually realized that I didn't even put this on the list of lineup changes, which I should have, because Bilal was out of the lineup too. So it was Jameer Watkins who started. 2-way contract player. He had 2 points in 18 minutes. I don't really understand the point of it. The guy who did step up in the minutes was Will Riley. If you're in a deeper league, if you're in a double Onyx, Riley is going to be a beneficiary here. 27 minutes, 7 points, 4 rebounds. Now that's only very, very deep league stuff. But to me, he's the beneficiary over Watkins and even over Cam Whitmore, who didn't do anything. And by the way, you don't want to write a guy off 1 year and 1 quarter through their NBA career, but what is Bob Carrington doing? 7 points in 28 minutes. I don't know, man. He looks bad. You shouldn't be rostering him in any 10, 12, or honestly 14-team leagues at this point. It's horrendous. Maybe, I hope he turns it around. He looks terrible at the moment. Really bad. We've got 4 more games to talk about. We will. Today's episode, though, is brought to you by DoorDash. The NBA season is heating up, and DoorDash has found the perfect way to keep you in your bag all season long. Whether you're watching for highlights or your favorite players and teams or your fantasy guys, DoorDash makes every game night even better. DoorDash is the official on-demand delivery platform of the NBA, and they're celebrating with something called the bag drop. Every time an NBA player scores 50 points, and you've still got time here, after Jamal Murray did it yesterday, DoorDash drops 50% off your order with Dash Pass the next day, and you're automatically entered for a chance to win the ultimate fan bag. It's player-inspired drip, it's exclusive items, it's the stuff that you'd want, and one lucky person gets that every time someone drops 50 points. DoorDash has you covered for late-night highlights, last-minute watch parties, and double OT fuel-ups. So the next time that somebody drops 50 points, use the promo code NBA50 the next day to get 50% off your order on DoorDash with Dash Pass, plus your shot at the bag drop. Dash Pass members only, 50% off up to $10 the day after a 50-point game with the promo code. Terms apply, no purchase necessary. Ends April 13th. Open to US residents 21 or older. Visit DoorDashinYourBag.com for full details. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Now we could go on to this next game, which was a wild finish, as the Philadelphia 76ers somehow get the victory over the Warriors, 99-98. I think this is the second Warriors game in the last week that's had both teams under 100 points. Maybe I'm making that up. Anyway, Steph Curry was out. Jimmy Butler was out. You'd be shocked to know Draymond Green left early during the game. But they went with Al Horford starting his first game. And we went with one of the deepest rotations that we have seen all season, making any sort of replacements completely useless. Curry's going to be out at least a couple more games. No idea whether Jimmy Butler's going to miss more time, and I don't think Draymond's is going to be a serious thing. We'll see. He did hurt his foot or ankle. We don't know. But even if that is the case, it's just so unreliable. Will Richard had 5 points in 20 minutes. Cool. Moses Moody played 23 minutes, having 14 points on 10 shots. No worries. John Kuminga, 9 points, 6 minutes.
Get that garbage out of here.
Brandon Pajewski was horrific. He had 6 points in 20 minutes with 6 rebounds on 25% despite starting the game. Buddy Hield had a revenge game, 14-8 with 2 steals and 2 threes. Pat Spencer had 16, 4 and 4. Sick. And what about DeAnthony Melton? First game of the season bump, revenge game bump. Melton played 21 minutes. He had 14 points. He had 3 assists. He had 2 steals. He had a block. And I know that a lot of you will look at this and go, this is justification. He has to be rostered. I don't agree. I don't think that DeAnthony Melton, playing 24 minutes a night, is going to be able to do this. He shot really well. He shot a lot, though. That's the thing. 29% usage is not DeAnthony Melton. He's going to be limited. He's going to have games off. And we're talking a game with no Jimmy, no Steph, Draymond also out. Plus, Hield, Spencer, Moody, Richard, Pajemski, Curry, Santos, Payton. All of these guys are going to get minutes at all points. You can add him. Again, it'd be hard for me to tell you absolutely terrible move to do it after he has 14 points in 21 minutes with 2 steals, the wave pool. But I think the fact that there's just a million options that can go off at any point should dissuade you from holding on to him, or from Richard, or from Moody, or from Pajemski. The only reason I'd be looking at Moody and Pajemski, and even Melton right now, is Steph and Jimmy being out. And that's not long-term stuff. Al Horford had 3 points with a 1-1, 13% shooting. For a bunch of guys who were useful last season, it has been a huge drop-off for a bunch of unks this season. Brook Lopez is out of the rotation for the Clippers. Chris Paul just was told to go home. Al Horford looks terrible. And wait till we get to the Lakers game. All these unks that were actually producing really well last season are just done. Just cliff, bang, just smashed them. Just absolutely cooked them. So the Warriors team is really hard to sort of get anything interesting going. Like, there's a lot of 14 or 16 team league guys. But even that, it rotates around so much, and Kerr's going to use these 13-man foreseeable future rotations. And we're talking about a game without Jimmy and without Steph, the 2 highest usage guys and offensive focal points. And it's not a long-term thing. So I think that, honestly, for the majority of this one, you can just throw these results out, because there's hardly anything I see here that's going to push forward. I should have done it for Al Horford, because you don't get many options, but Al, unfortunately, man, it is true. Let's go on to the Sixers side of things, because Joel Embiid was back. We didn't know that he'd be back, but he was, so I'm going to guess he won't play tomorrow. Let's start with him. 25 minutes, 12 and 6 with a block on 39%. People have dropped Joel Embiid. That has happened in leagues. I would not do that. I would add him, but understand that any lengthy absence is going to be really, really, really negative. Kelly Oubre looks like he'll be about a week away. Paul George sat this game as well, so that's important when we're talking about what Dom Barlow did. 35 minutes for Barlow for 6 points, and that sounds horrible. But he had 14 boards, he had 1 steal, and he had 3 blocks, which is great. But of course, Oubre and George both play that similar position, and I don't think that Barlow, we've seen Barlow been starting. He's been fine, He's okay to stream in if you want him. He's okay as a short term, but as a long term thing, no. Tyrese Maxey had the game-winning block. 35 points in 40 minutes for 4 threes, 2 steals and a block for Maxey. Another huge game. What I am worried about, now I know that VJ Edgecombe hit the game-winning shot, but he's basically playing just 24 minutes a night. Him and Jared McCain are splitting minutes. Now, the game, 10, 6, and 5 with 3 steals, is passable. That's usable in a standard format, in 156 deep league for VJ. That's a usable game. But is 24 minutes a night anything we get excited about? Because he's turning a bit into a Case and Wallace. The last 3 games from him, 24, 24, and 21 minutes. And I know what you'll say. You'll say, Josh, minutes restriction. Coming off an injury. He missed 3 games. He was not out for months or weeks. He was out for literally 1 week. He was out for 1 week with a calf strain. Maybe he is still being minutes limited. Or maybe the Jared McCain is ramped up. They're just splitting minutes and Quentin Grimes is in that mix as well. I don't know. But 1 game, sure. 2 games, maybe. 3 games? After missing 3 games anyway? I don't know. It's a little fishy. I wouldn't drop VJ yet, but like I've said many times, I don't think that it's crazy to suggest that Edgecombe will be a drop. I think that we might get there. As for McCain, he needs 30 minutes. He had 7 points on 21 minutes of playing time. And we got Andre Drummond playing 17, Adem Bona playing 6 minutes. Now, hold Drummond for tomorrow. You can hold Bona if you've got him tomorrow. Giggity. But that pecking order is pretty clear. When Embiid is healthy, Bona is not worth it. Because he's the third string center. And even in games when Embiid sits, Drummond's going to get the minutes and Bona's going to be like a deep league guy only. I would hold Drummond for about a week here because we saw Embiid come back and then sit a non-back-to-back anyway. So there's no guarantee he's going to play through this. And you got at least tomorrow's game to wait on it. But it was bad from Drummond, 0 points in 17 minutes with 2 rebounds. But I would hold at least a week, maybe 2. I wouldn't do the same with Bona though. Quentin Grimes played 38 minutes and the fact that he is getting these minutes means Edgecombe is in trouble also. 12, 5, and 6 for Grimes. We are also getting to the stage where we have to have the discussion of, is Grimes even a hold? Because there was no Oubre or George here. And he played a lot of minutes and his production's not great. Over the last 2 weeks, he's not even a top 130 player, Quentin Grimes, despite playing 38 minutes a night. He was great last season when Embiid, George, and Maxey were out. And he cooked. But even like this one where George was out, but Maxey and Embiid were there, and there's other guys around him, he's just not the same. He's had some flashes, but he's not the same guy. And I do think that discussion needs to be had. Next, we can go to 2 teams having a mid-off, the Jazz and the Nets. The Nets are up big in this one, and the Jazz stormed home with an insane fourth quarter where they outscored the Nets 42-20, the final score, to win 123-110. Yusuf Nurkic was out. That meant that Kyle Filipowski started at center. So let's talk about Filipowski's game. 15 and 8, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 2 threes. Great. Fantastic. Like, no one is doubting that Filipowski, when getting the minutes, is going to put up good numbers. The problem is, he hadn't been getting the minutes. And he hasn't been getting the minutes. If you want to grab him and hold and see where this goes, go for it. I don't know that he holds the spot over Nurkic. He might, but that was a good game. If you want to talk about the opposite of a good game, let's talk about Ace Bailey, who had 5 points in 25 minutes. He had no assists, no steals, and no blocks and shot 33%. And this is why I do not want Ace Bailey as a must-roster category league guy. For points leagues, a little bit more value. But again, there's too many of these absolutely empty stinkers that populate his game log at this point. It's just a long hold to get there. Keontae George, this is hyperbolic, but bro, what this guy is, this is all-star level stuff. I know he's not going to be an all-star, but just every game you go, oh yeah, that's just another 30 and 10 game. 25 and 8. What? 29 and 10 with 4 threes. I'm not saying he should be an all-star. I haven't looked at that stuff, but bro, 9 of 9 from the line. What is happening with this guy? This is just ridiculous. I love it. Larry Markkinen had 30 and 8. Big numbers from him. Yes, all of this is against the Nets, of course. Isaiah Collier down to 15 minutes. I think we're all in agreement that he's a jack.
Get that garbage out
And Walter
of here.
Clayton played 24 minutes for 13 points. That's interesting. We just watch where that goes. Sensabaugh had 8 points. Mihailuk had 10 points with 2 threes. Not a lot going on there. And Hendricks was back into the rotation because Nurkic was out, I'm guessing. And with Kevin Love out, Kyle Anderson played 17 minutes. That seems to be what happens. Anderson had 4 steals, but Love will play next game, and Anderson will probably move back to a DNP sort of a role. The thing that you've got to watch now for the next game is, what does Filipowski do? Do they start him over Nurkic? Does the fact that Nurkic had 40-point blowout, foul trouble, absence, is that the only reason the Filipowski's minutes rose? And does he go back to 21 in the next one? Because that is telling. Because the narratives in all those games were obvious, right? The reasons for the minutes were obvious. Now we find out what happens. Because that was a good game from Filipowski. If you want to grab him to get ahead of it, reasonable. Totally reasonable to consider doing that. I'm going to come back and talk about the Nets side of things in a sec. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. NFL Sundays move fast. It's one big play, and then suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift. You see someone get hot, you see a defense tighten up, you see a momentum shifting turnover occur. And then you can get in with FanDuel to jump into that moment with live spreads and money lines which adjust instantly and player props that updates as guys heat up. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, go to FanDuel.com. Check out all their NFL live betting, their NBA live betting, plus all their futures for the NBA as well, like the upcoming NBA Cup with the Thunder. They've actually just loosened out a bit to a minus 120. I don't really know why. The Knicks and Magic now equal second favorite at plus 650. Oh, they've taken the Lakers off the board. That's what's happened. We're going to talk Lakers game next. But they've taken the Lakers off the board. We'll see where that one goes the next time we do one of these. But with FanDuel, you can bet on all of that stuff and place your NFL and NBA live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. We can get back in now and talk about the other half of this Jazz-Nets game. Brooklyn was in the back end here of a 5-game in 7-night run. So Michael Podcast Jr. sat out. Terrence Mann was back into the starting lineup for Porter. And let's just start with what Terrence Mann did. He went to the locker room. He had a pretty hard fall. He did return. We are obviously not rostering Terrence Mann anywhere. What we are doing is making sure that Noah Clowney is rostered everywhere. 29 points with 3 threes. He had 3 blocks. He shot 53% from the field. He went 10 of 12 from the line. This is as no-brainer as a must-add that there is at the moment. I know that for some reason there is still resistance against him and I don't really get it. Just a must-roster player. Nick Claxton had 12, 9, and 4, but there's a couple of guys I want to talk about. 2 rookies. Actually, let's talk 3, because let's start with Yegor Dioman, who played 20 minutes for 3 points and 2 assists. I just don't think you need to roster him. I think that even if he gets to a 29-minute a night regular starting player, I don't know if he could be good enough. I think there are too many holes in his game with his shooting numbers, his volume, his rebounding numbers. I don't think he's going to be worth it. And if he is, it's going to take a long time. Because he wasn't their best rookie point guard in this one. It was Ben Saraf, who had 12 points with 3 steals and a block. That's Saraf's first real good game. I think that's, only deeper league, 200 player deep type stuff, but we just keep an eye on it. But I actually do think that Danny Wolf, I think we might look at this a bit closer. Now, yes, Porter was out. Thomas remains out. Drake Powell was out, the other rookie. Wolf had 17 and 9 with 3 threes and 3 assists. I'm going to look at this because I actually put bids on Danny Wolf in the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl today. So I'm in 5 of those leagues. I put bids on Ryan Nembhard in those leagues. I put bids on Danny Wolf and I put bids on Maxime Reynaud. And I ended up getting Wolf in 1 league. All right. So I'm happy with that. I hadn't seen that. These are interesting numbers. If I'm in a 175 deep league, a 14-team league, I would add him. Because I could look at this and go, all right, Porter's out. But Clowney played 34. Claxton played 29. Sharp played 19. That's all like regular playing time there. So Wolf sort of just squeezed in. Porter can come in. Yes, he'll take the 16 minutes away from Jalen Wilson. Zaire Williams, 28 minutes, don't need to be that high. If you want to, I don't think the Ben Saraf one is get ahead of it. The Danny Wolf one, Brooklyn's Derek Queen, maybe. Look, maybe. Mainly because of the role they're giving him. And I just didn't think that they just pumped these minutes in. And he and Saraf were really good for them. They were both positives in a game where Claxton was a negative 19, Williams was minus 16, Tyrese Martin a 19, and Clowney a minus 12. I'm not going to give it a blanket must roster for Danny Wolf. But I think that you need to seriously consider, can you take a short-term hit here? Because it might be a hit. It might be useless. and just have a look. Like, if I've got Diamond, I'd drop him for Wolf. No problem with that. I would do that immediately. I would be seriously considering Danny Wolf. There's just something about not just the way that he's playing, because he's playing well, but he shot 42% here. It's not like he went out with 100% shooting, and it's not like these minutes can't be replicated, because they can. The guy that's missing was Porter, but he doesn't play the 4. He plays the 3. He plays a little bit of the 4, but he doesn't have to. 22-4-4, 10-7-1, 8-4-3, 17-9-3 in the last 4 games from Danny Wolf. Now, granted, he's had 1 defensive stat in that time. One block, that's it. There's just a little bit of interesting stuff. And he basically closed today's game before they pulled the starters with 2 minutes left. So he's closed the last 3 games. And to me, that's basically an indication that, I think we might need to do it. In a 14 team, 100% we're doing it. It's moving to other spots as well, though. Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't even tell you that Zion Williams had 23 points in 28 minutes. He shot 14 times with 9 free throw attempts. Great. Really good game. Don't trust it at all. Wouldn't move on it. 100% would prefer Danny Wolf. I'd prefer to keep Yego Diamond over adding Zion Williams at this point. But some intriguing things. Now let's get to the Lakers and the Raptors. Another cracking game. It's the end of LeBron's double-digit scoring streak. Didn't really think that would happen. I know he's not playing very well. There was no Luka Doncic in this game. Gabe Vincent started in his place. But LeBron sacrificed a chance at continuing that streak. And this is not LeBron glazing at all. But hit up our mate, the Mpitsu, Rui Hachimura, for the game-winning shot to win them the game. Let's start with LeBron. He played, 28, was it 28 minutes? Where's my numbers? We've just lost it completely. No, he played 36 minutes he played. It's a lot of minutes for LeBron. I don't think he plays tomorrow, by the way. He had 8 points. He shot 17 times on 24%. That's horrific. He had no defensive stats, no free throws, and was 6 of 11. Unfortunately for you, LeBron, this is a little bit in jest, and based on your very high bar of production, you are washed. You are not completely washed. And I talked about this on the mailbag show earlier today about whether LeBron's a buy low. No. Like, he's better than this, but do not consider him a top 15, 20, or 30 player. That is not something. And it's a little bit frustrating to see, but obviously that game-winning pass is great, and it's part of what he does, but the value of him is he's clearly the 3rd best player on this team at best. Because Austin Reaves is just ludicrous. What is happening here? 44, 5 and 10 with 5 threes in 41 minutes. I was very much into Reaves in round 3 this season, sometimes in round 2, but mainly 3. But I couldn't have foreseen what we're getting here, like top 10 run. What is going on? He shot 62 from the field and 88 from the line, 87 from the line. This is an insane thing. And some will say, is this a sell high? Like, sure, but also don't. Like, what for? Just hold it, man. No one's giving you top 10. No one is. If they do, go for it. But our expectations should be recalibrated. This is a top 15 player, I would say, at least. And you should deal with that. I expect that tomorrow Luka will be out and LeBron will be out. So we're looking at Jake LaRavia, who had 14 and 7 with 2 steals and a block. DeAndre Ayton had 17 and 8 with 2 blocks, while Gabe Vincent started. He had 4 assists, but he doesn't do much else. What about the Mpitsu? Despite hitting the game winner, he had 12, 3 and 0 with just the 1 steal. Sad Mpitsu. If you do have Rui Hachimura on your team, right, you hold for tomorrow. You shouldn't have Rui Hachimura on your team, but if you do, you hold for tomorrow because it's a back-to-back. But you don't hold any further than that. There is no reason for him to be on 14-team rosters at all. But, he hit the game winner. So, good for him. Shall we talk about our Toronto Raptors on the other side of the game? We should. They would have thought they'd get this win here. Barnesy was great, 23, 11, and 9 with 3 blocks. He has been excellent as a top 10 or a first-round player this season, putting up great numbers. Really love what we're seeing. While Sandro Mamukelashvili in a start for Jakob Poeltl, 37 minutes, 13, 8, and 5, 2 steals and a block. And it could have been way better had he not shot 31%. Mamu is a stashable guy. What do I mean by that? You know what it is. Large benches, games caps, rotos, and weekly lineups, where you can sit him on your bench and plop him in a game where Jakob Poeltl sits, and leave him on the bench in other ones. That's it. Quickly continues his solid form, not his best game, 13, 1 and 5, while Ingram had 20 and 7 with 7 assists on some rough efficiency, but good numbers nonetheless. Without Pirtle, we got more Colin Murray-Boyles, 12 points, 3 assists, steal on a block. They're good numbers, they're just deeper league stuff. And then Jacoby Walter had one of his better games, 17 points with 3 threes. He's just a deeper league guy, but on a day where only 10 teams play, like today, he's at least streamable in this role without the big fella, Rowan Barrett Jr. Now let's do the last game of the night, the Minnesota Timberwolves and the New Orleans Pelicans. We saw this game 2 days ago. It was an overtime game where the Pelicans were up in the fourth quarter and the Wolves pulled away, won the overtime battle. Today, the Wolves get it done without going to overtime, 125-116. The final score here, as per usual, Minnesota rolls out the same starting lineup as they do every game, it appears. Not a good one from Anthony Edwards. He had some pretty extreme foul trouble. He got his 4th foul at the beginning of the third quarter and he was just bad. 11 points on 6 shots. That's horrific. He played 31 minutes. He had 6 rebounds, he had 4 assists, he had a steal, and he had 3 blocks. And the great players, and he is great, are usually able to do other things when things aren't working in certain areas. And that's what happened here. That helps float your bottom line. Julius Randle had been struggling a little bit, but we get a 28-9-3 game with great field goals and 8 of 8 from the line. And the Wizard of Naz Reid stepped up for 33 minutes, 19, 7 and 6, 1 steal, 2 blocks. Reid is really turning it on at the moment, and no one's even injured. That is a huge sign, because he was yuck to start the year. He was really bad. Now, his value is up, or his value in this game was up, because they just went away from Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert.
And they closed the game basically with, they didn't make a single sub in the fourth quarter, just with that. They're standard starters, but with Gobert out and Reid in. Which was obviously intriguing to see them go in that direction. What else happened? McDaniels, nice 2 steals and 2 blocks with 14, 7 and 5, and DiVincenzo, 15, 4 and 3. They are the most boring. Even Gobert, 15 and 12 with 3 assists in 24 minutes is still really usable. There's those 6 guys, they're all must-roster players, and that's it. Nothing else changes on this team. The Pelicans is where, obviously, there is more chaos. Injuries, coaching changes, bad team, bad players, a lot of stuff changing all the time. They did, though, head into this game with no lineup change. There was no Jordan Poole or Zion Williamson, Dejounte Murray, Herb Jones, still no Yves Missi, out again. So we went to that same starting group. Murphy had 21-7 with 8 assists. You love to see that. The depressed penis, Sadiq Bey, just keeps it rolling. He is playing at a level I've never seen him play at. 20 and 6 with 3 steals. And then Jeremiah Fears had another monster game. Now, Fears has not been very good, but he is playing well at the moment. 20 and 7 with 6 assists on 17 shots, 47%. That brings him up to the 131st ranked player over the last 2 weeks. So again, not very good. But if you wanted to grab him and see, well, maybe he's turned a corner, it's possible. But Poole coming back will, I think, have some sort of an impact. The Blizzard, Derek Queen, he has really tailed off. He only played 29 minutes. He had 12, 4 and 5. Obviously, there's no Zion. There's no Missi. He's still just not getting it done. The difference in this game to the other ones, he wasn't a team worst plus minus, which he'd been basically every game. There were some defensive issues with him that still remain, but some muted performances, usage down. I am still holding him in most cases, especially with Zion out. But after that little run, it has been pretty rough. Bryce McGowan's played a lot. If you're in a deeper league, he is a beneficiary from these guys being out. 15, 3 and 5, steal and a block on 5 of 6 from the line and 42% overall. McGowan's is that 20-team league or 14, 16-team league, 200-player deep ad. Jordan Hawkins has been a huge disappointment, obviously, just 7 points in 16 minutes for him. Well, Karlo Makovic came back and played 19. He had 8 and 6. Just keep an eye on him with Zion out. There is a chance he might move into a 200-deep league player option. That's it. There's not that much to talk about because there was only 5 games on. So we're just going to go straight into the lines of the night, and I'll get you out of here. The monstrous line of the night. Well, it has to be the Lemon Daddy himself, Austin Reaves. 44 points, 5 rebounds, 10 assists, elite field goals, elite free throws. He's been so ridiculously good. Your young gun of the night is also your waiver wire line of the night. It is Jordan Walsh, who had the game of his life. 22, 7 and 3 with 2 steals and a block on 100% shooting with Jaylen Brown out. So there's a lot of that stuff there that is, of course, unrepeatable, but just a massive game from him. He is, at the very least, a 14-team league stream option, and he was a very clear 12-team stream option today. And if you've got him, you just hold him for tomorrow because they've got a back-to-back. And the dud of the night, we've got to go to Washington. We've got to go to Marvin Bagley. Bro had given us such good games earlier in the week, and then he dishes up 5 and 6 with a pair of 25% shooting percentages. Just disgusting stuff from Marvin Bagley. And that is one of the quickest recap shows that we've done. I'll be back with preview shows, weekly preview shows. That Week 8 preview show, you're going to want to watch it when it comes out over the weekend because I'm going to be detailing the NBA Cup. And honestly, when I go through it, I won't have all the information because the information will not exist. But I'll explain what is going on to the best of my current ability. Well, not the best of my current ability, the best of literally anybody's current ability because we do not know when the games will be played. But you need to get your head around what's going on in the league over Week 8. That's coming over the weekend, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.